Deerstonk Zoo in Ontario, Canada, a sanctuary celebrated for its lush landscapes and natural animal habitats, held a special resident, Cairo, a magnificent male lion. Unlike the others, Cairo had been raised under the dedicated care of the zoo staff since he was a cub, his early life tragically marked by the loss of his mother to starvation in a parched reserve. Life at the zoo was a predictable rhythm of timely meals, playful romps in his spacious enclosure, and the adoring gazes of visitors. Cairo, with his regal bearing and a mane the color of sun-drenched wheat, was the undisputed star. Years passed peacefully, punctuated by the distant laughter of children beyond his enclosure, his own roars infrequent. His existence seemed an idyllic, unending calm, until the catastrophic storm of 2022 shattered the tranquility. The most violent storm to lash southern Ontario in half a century descended without warning, unleashing a barrage of hail and ferocious winds. Thunder cracked the sky, ancient trees within the zoo grounds buckled and fell, and the once secure fences and roofs of animal enclosures were ripped apart. The primate habitat was the first to succumb, a scene of chaos as monkeys and apes shrieked and scattered in terror. Then, with a sickening crack, a massive tree tore from its roots and slammed into Cairo's enclosure, reducing it to a mangled ruin. Across the town, traffic ground to a halt, and communication lines to outside support were severed. The zoo management made desperate calls to local authorities, only to be met with the grim news that help was at least 48 hours away. Only 3 staff members remained on site, battling to contain the escaped animals amidst the debris. In the pandemonium, Cairo's disappearance from his destroyed cage went unnoticed. 2 days had passed since Cairo's last meal. Hunger gnawed at him, fueling a restless urge to find sustenance. He emerged from the wreckage of his home, his paws sinking into the wet, muddy paths of the ravaged zoo. The other animals, sensing a primal power unleashed, fled before him, none daring to impede his progress. He reached the main gate where the iron fence lay twisted and broken, and slipped through the gap, unchallenged. He entered the coniferous forest bordering the zoo, once a verdant buffer meant to protect the delicate ecosystem. Now the trees were a scene of devastation, their branches snapped and strewn across the damp, cold ground. The air hung heavy and silent, devoid of birdsong. Though his body ached, Cairo pressed on, his eyes burning with a primal need, his paws leaving bloody prints in the mud. The sound of flowing water drew him towards the large lake, where a weak light filtered through the shattered canopy. At the water's edge, a mother black bear and her cub were fishing, the playful cub darting around its mother's feet in the drizzle. Cairo watched from behind a fallen tree, his breath catching in his throat, his tongue flicking out as he fixated on the fresh fish wriggling in the bear's grasp. He didn't charge blindly, but stalked forward with a hunter's patience, his massive body low to the ground, each paw fall silent. The mother bear sensed his presence but didn't panic, shifting slightly to shield her cub behind her. Cairo let out a low hiss, then exploded forward, lunging for the fish clutched in the mother bear's jaws. A deafening roar ripped through the stillness of the lake as the mother bear stood her ground, fearlessly confronting the intruder. The battle for dominance had begun. The mother bear surged forward, using her bulk to shove the lion back, her powerful claws raking the air, forcing Cairo to stumble. He retaliated with a lightning-fast pounce, but his lack of wild combat experience betrayed him, his blunt claws failing to inflict significant damage. The cub watched from behind its mother, a small hiss escaping its trembling form, trying to project a bravery it didn't feel. The mother bear rose to her full height, her forelegs swinging in a powerful arc, slamming down on Cairo's back with crushing force. He staggered, a weak roar escaping his lungs, still desperate to reach the fallen. Fish! Undeterred, the mother bear continued her assault, her sharp claws tearing at the skin on Cairo's cheek. Blood welled up, staining the cold earth, yet instinct drove Cairo to fight back, his movements slow and clumsy, his attacks ineffective, against a seasoned wild predator. A swift hooking slap from beneath his jaw sent Cairo crashing to the ground, his vision blurring with dizziness. The mother bear pressed her advantage, bending down to sink her teeth into his shoulder, dragging him a short distance in a menacing display of power. Cairo hissed in desperation, his struggles only widening the wound, crimson blood blooming on his left shoulder. The cub, emboldened, darted around Cairo in a bizarre dance, a mixture of fear and triumph in its movements. Cairo's panting grew ragged, his roars fading into weak, intermittent gasps. He lay still, one leg curled beneath him, his chest heaving, his mouth opening and closing in silent exhaustion, unable to rise. Sensing her opponent's defeat, the mother bear snatched the fish and retreated with her cub into the dense undergrowth. The forest fell silent once more, the only sounds the gentle lapping of the lake water and Cairo's shallow breaths. His immense body lay motionless, surrounded by mud, blood, and the paw prints of his victor. A black bird descended near the shore, perching on a bare branch, a solitary omen against the gray sky. Hours crawled by. Cairo lay with his eyes closed, seemingly lifeless in the cold wilderness. Yet, a faint rise and fall of his chest betrayed a resilient heart, beating weakly within its fragile confines. Unseen, a miracle was unfolding behind the storm-ravaged trees. In the distance, the rustling of leaves heralded the arrival of a search party, their footsteps echoing in the damp air. It was the rescue team, zoo staff and police, following the grim trail of blood. The scene that greeted them at the lake shore struck them dumb with shock, their hearts clenching with pity and a desperate hope. They had found Cairo, but the question hung heavy in the air. Was it too late? Two zoo staff rushed to his side, their hands flying to check his pulse and responsiveness. He was alive, but barely, his body weak and failing. Immediate medical attention was his only chance. The police secured the perimeter, their weapons ready in case the mother bear returned. A large tarp was carefully spread, and with coordinated movements, they gently lifted Cairo's massive frame onto it. He offered little resistance, only a soft groan escaping his lips as his eyes fluttered open, as if sensing their help. The specialized pickup truck sped out of the forest, the roar of its engine cutting through the gloomy silence. All the way, back to the zoo, a staff member continuously dripped water into Cairo's parched mouth, whispering words of reassurance. The medical team was waiting as the truck arrived, a specialized bed and mobile emergency equipment at the ready. They swiftly transferred Cairo to the medical room, connecting him to an IV and beginning a rapid assessment of his injuries. Cairo wheezed, his eyes tightly shut, his body trembling with silent pain. The veterinarian's diagnosis offered a sliver of hope. The wounds were superficial, but the significant blood loss and profound exhaustion had pushed him to the brink. Immediately, painkillers, antibiotics, and life-saving fluids were injected into his veins. They shaved the fur around the deepest scratch, carefully cleaning it with saline and antibacterial solution. Cairo remained unconscious, but his heartbeat strengthened, a fragile sign that the fight for his life was not yet lost. The medical team worked tirelessly through the night, their every action a prayer to keep the zoo's iconic survivor alive. The next morning, a small victory. Cairo awoke, weakly lapping at water from a silver bowl held to his lips. The veterinary staff gently changed his bandages, massaging his stiff limbs to encourage circulation. The once mighty roar was absent, replaced by a quiet stillness in his eyes, a silent gratitude towards his rescuers. He was moved to a temporary enclosure, equipped with a roof and a 24/7 monitoring system. A special diet of soft meat, electrolyte-rich water, and vital nutrients aided his rapid recovery. Each day, staff members visited, offering gentle words of encouragement and soothing touches, nurturing his spirit as well as his body. Within a week, Cairo was able to stand, taking slow, tentative laps around his cage before resting in the shade. A photograph of Cairo receiving IV fluids went viral, flooding social media with messages of support and admiration. More and more visitors flocked to the zoo, eager to see the hero who survived the storm of 22. Cairo's incredible fight for survival became a symbol of hope and resilience across Ontario. Ayr Stonk Zoo, spurred by the near tragedy, held an emergency meeting with the government to reevaluate the design of their wildlife enclosures. Plans were drawn up for a new semi-wild habitat for predators, a space where they could retain their crucial survival instincts. Cairo would be the first resident to transition to this new area once he had fully recovered, both physically and mentally. The project garnered enthusiastic support from the local community, and numerous conservation organizations pledged funding and expertise. A simple sign now stood before Cairo's old enclosure: the great survivor of the 2022 storm. His story became a part of children's lessons, teaching them about animal welfare and the importance of nature conservation. A powerful painting of Cairo, his mane raised defiantly against the storm, was solemnly hung at the zoo's main entrance. Now, every slow, deliberate step Cairo took served as a potent reminder of resilience and the indomitable power of survival. He was more than just a lion. He was a symbol, a living testament to instinct and the boundless capacity of humanity for compassion. And at Ayr Stonk Zoo, his legendary tale continued to unfold, whispered by the wind through the bars of his cage.